Good. Welcome to the Panic Button, everyone. I'm Nina.
You didn't let me answer.
What?
I wasn't quite good.
Oh.
I'm Jessie.
And so about that. Queer identities are in a free fall,
Okay.
according to one study.
What does that mean? Free fall. What does that mean?
We are going to find out right now.
How are queer identities falling? Where are they falling?
This study is just a delight. This is out of the University of Buckingham. Eric Kaufman is the author. Here's the executive summary. We got all sorts of charts and graphs and numbers, but here's the executive summary. After surging in the 20-teens and 20s, trans and queer identities are in decline among young Americans. For a while there, they were just skyrocketing. Every time you open the news, it was 5%, 10%, 25%, 30% of Gen Z identifies as LGBTQ. And now, after that massive surge, it went from 1 in 4, maybe more, to 1 in 3, maybe me. It seems to be declining. The transgender share among university students peaked in 2023 and has almost halved since, from nearly 7% to under 4%. Some of us have been suggesting that maybe the transgender identity is a social contagion and it's not some deeply rooted, essential or biological aspect of identity. The libs have always said, no. The reason that the number of trans identifying students keeps increasing is because people now feel liberated to come out of the closet and express their true selves. And some of us have said, I'm kind of skeptical of that. I think it's just like a lot of people never even thought that this was a thing. And then they're introduced to this idea. And then some of them go along with it because of mimesis, because of the fact that we imitate each other and we're social creatures, and that's how social contagions take hold. That's kind of what we thought. Looks like the data are now backing that up. The study finds the share of students identifying as not heterosexual fell by around 10 points in the same period. And not heterosexual is a weird category. I actually had a friend in college who, I remember this. This guy would pick up chicks. He was other than some of his fashion choices, by all signs, was a straight guy. But he identified as non-heterosexual. And to my knowledge, he never did any weird stuff with dudes or anything, but he identified as not heterosexual because, I don't know, in the late 2000s and 20-teens, that was cool. That was fashionable. It was square to be straight. Weirdly, I don't know, maybe he thought it would help him pick up chicks or something, but it's very hard to pin down what that means. In any case, I
know there's a lot that we watched here, but Michael, your friend was probably gay. He just didn't tell you about it because you were a prude.
Yeah.
He probably just scoped out how comfortable you were, and he was like, oh no, I only like chicks. Wink. And you didn't pick up on the wink, so it was like, okay.
The reason says he's not heterosexual.
Other than that, I don't think there is a reason to label yourself to begin with as heterosexual and non-heterosexual, especially when you're a student. That means that you are probably underneath the age of 21 still, considering college kids. And those people, even at 21, are still experimenting. Not everyone, but a lot of them. A lot of them are still figuring it out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so they shouldn't have a label like that, especially a definitive label. A lot of people will grow out of it, or they'll settle into it. And that's just what it comes down to. It's not something you necessarily know coming out the gate. You kind of experience things and learn it.
And some of us have always known.
Well, and that's the thing. But you experienced some extent of a guy like having a crush on you, or being told that you should be straight, and being like, oh, that doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And so you still, to that extent, and you also had boyfriends you kissed at least, right?
Yeah.
And you still felt, this isn't it, right? Yeah. And so to that extent, it's still figuring it out. You were still figuring it out to some extent.
I was figuring out how to navigate in society being gay because it wasn't acceptable.
So you tried being straight.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't get bullied.
And I'm not saying that that's right, but I'm saying that we've all tried
to be normal,
to assimilate to the norm.
Yeah.
And because of that, it didn't feel comfortable. If it feels comfortable for you, good for you. But that's not the experience for everyone.
So what do you think of this study that
I think it was
showing that people
bound to happen.
No longer identifying as trans?
Yeah, it's bound to happen. They weren't all trans to begin with.
I don't think so either.
It was popular. It was trendy. Now you're going to see who really was and who really wasn't. I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Some people were just using it as a way to be popular, a way to get attention, or a way to
Fit in.
be in women's sports and take over and
Fit
dominate
into something
chicks
they
don't
wanted
like.
to fit into. Fit into something they wanted to fit into, somewhere they weren't necessarily fitting into or weren't allowed to fit into. It doesn't really matter. They're still taking advantage of a system.
Yeah, self-ID. Yeah. So I don't know. I also don't know if I can really trust the study as well. It's really hard to tell when it's not like you're identifying trans people based on what a trans person is, which is, has gender dysphoria, has gone down the psychological route and getting treatment, therapy, before finally physically and hormonally and surgically transitioning. That would have been easier to kind of get the stats on. But because self-ID has been a thing for so long now, it's really hard to know whether someone is telling the truth when it comes to are they trans, are they not trans? Did they ask those people if they were trans that day when they did that study, knowing that maybe tomorrow they'll identify as trans again, because it's just self-identifying. You can flip back and forth within the hour, minute, second. So it's hard to really get the stats on that one.
It's also going to be hard until they don't have self-ID.
Well, you would pretty much have to have the whole system in society reject it. Like if a man says he's a woman, he will no longer be allowed into women's spaces, sports, and such.
Yeah.
Until then, self-ID is still going to be a thing, and annoying men are going to be able to get away with creepy shit.
I do think to a certain extent, as long as it's not lewd, you can dress however you want to dress. I don't have any issue with that. But it's once you start going into spaces where you don't belong that I have an issue with. Mm-hmm. I don't care if you're a man in a dress. I don't care if you're a woman in a tux.
The clothes don't make the identity.
It doesn't make you fit in with everyone in that bathroom.
Yeah, just because you're a dude wearing a dress doesn't mean you're a lady. It just means you wore a dress. You're still a dude.
Or that sport.
Yeah, but if laws can circumnavigate around your identity, I mean, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
Because then you can identify as like a criminal and then not a criminal. And then you don't get arrested because you don't identify as a criminal. You identify as a man. You identify as a woman.
Identification gets hard because you can identify as anything, really. You can.
Yeah, but society shouldn't take that seriously.
No.
And laws shouldn't take that seriously at all.
Like when you say that my sexual identity is a lesbian, that's not you saying that I identify as a lesbian. It's you saying that sexually I'm only attracted to women. And I think that got really muddled up with the gender identity kind of thing.
Yeah, because they were saying trans women are women. So what, now I'm supposed to date someone who has a penis because they say they're a woman?
I miss when people didn't want to be labeled.
Yeah, me too. That was a thing around like 2005, I'd say.
Well, especially if you're young and you're not positive on where you're going, don't start changing your body. Don't start labeling yourself. Just say you're figuring it out and go from there. And it doesn't have to be harder than that. A lot of people will hear that you're figuring it out and they will take it for what it is. A lot of people will.
And a lot of people will identify into something just to get attention.
Yes, but like if you're a girl in college, right? Mm-hmm. And you're unsure of if you're straight or gay. Yeah, you're unsure of that.
Yeah.
You are allowed to find partners and say, I'm not sure. This is my history. This is what I've done. But I'm not sure if I'm one or the other. You're allowed to say that.
Yeah.
And more people than you think will be accepting of that. Because I guarantee you, like, even though you advertise that you would prefer a gold star lesbian, if you had a woman who was at least admitting that she was confused and confessing everything that she has done and it wasn't something that you were completely against, wouldn't you still consider her a viable partner?
Possibly.
Considering the honesty and the lack of labeling.
But here's the thing.
Knowledge.
She's still a woman, and I'm a lesbian, so I'm attracted to women.
That's not the point I was making, though. Yes.
Right.
But yes.
But you're talking about identifying with a sexuality.
It's the same way, though. It works the same way. I think that your gender identity, you can say that you're figuring it out, but you also shouldn't be able to say I'm a woman when you don't have a vagina, when you have a penis that's been replaced and to look like a vagina.
Yeah.
You can say trans woman all you want. If you look enough like a woman, I'm sure people will call you a woman, but you shouldn't have the right to say that about yourself. You should still identify with the proper category.
Yeah, but I think they do that just to push women around and to take advantage.
Even to some extent, I don't agree with like trans lesbian, but even to some extent, if they called it that, if they didn't just say lesbian, if they called it trans lesbian, I'd be a little more lenient. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's not good enough for them.
No, they won't take that.
They want to bully. That's their thing. I want to bully. I want to take over and take advantage. And it makes people very sour to the whole trans thing.
Is there any more here?
He's probably going to yap on about stuff, so I figured that was the end of that one.
Yeah, Michael Knowles, you know.
Yeah, Mr. Dainty Hands.
He does have lady hands.
He has lady hands. Anyway, what do you guys think? Like and subscribe, join our memberships to keep this channel going, and
Comment below.
we'll see you in the next one.
Say happy birthday to Nina.
Yes,
She's turning 41.
Saturday.
When
October 18th.
when does this come out?
Tomorrow.
Say happy birthday to Nina.
Bye.